because I wanted to test out my truck. So Linnell and I took this logging road, and I use the term road loosely, through the interior of New Brunswick. If you look on the map, you'll find it because it's the only road that goes across this part of New Brunswick. It has our vote. Is this not right? It has our vote for absolutely the worst road in Canada. Absolutely. It was so rough. Now, the Ram could handle it. But it was so rough, it broke my glasses in the case. My glasses were in their case on the console, and by the time we endured 4 hours on that road, then it shattered the lens. So I have these. I hope to get some new glasses this week, but during the Eucharist there may be some really deep spiritual pauses. That's because I'm trying to figure out where I am. We thought of you often while we were away. Prayed for you every day. We even met up in Nova Scotia with Blake and Ann Woodside and got to see some of the wedding photographs for Rob and Melinda's wedding that we had missed. So you were often in our thoughts. However, as you can see from my modicum of confusion this morning, I do have the ability to completely turn off what I've been doing. I didn't forget you, prayed for you every day, but I forgot everything else, and I'm a little shaky. So, during the month, we saw incredible, beautiful things. I was stunned by the beauty of the Gaspé. We followed the coastal road on the Gaspé all the way back west, back into Quebec. Absolutely stunned with its beauty. Bev McLeod had cautioned me that, I could expect a bit of rain during our month. And 5 days of sunshine. I've got some video clips to show you. You will be hysterical. Sitting in the tent, shooting out the door, and the rain is coming down so hard, you can't, the soundtrack of the clip is deafening. It sounds like somebody's beating on brake drums, and there's this river running through the campsite. Best thing we ever did was to get this special tent that we could pitch in the bed of the truck, so we were, 4 or 5 feet up off the ground, because people were floating away. So this month, I would like to, with you, delve into Paul's letter to the Galatians. And one of the key things, as you probably guessed from what I said to the children, was that faith, the nature of faith, and how it figures into our Christian lives and our relationship to God is a very key element to that. And that whole business about the black bear is real. That I didn't see any bears out there, and I really was ready for it. I really was. But I guess my faith that there really were black bears wasn't quite enough, so I had to supplement it with something else. And that's the kind of thing that Paul is dealing with in Galatians. Faith in Jesus Christ is what justifies us, and I'll just let that word flow by. Justifies us in God's eyes. But Paul was dealing with a group of Christians there as well who felt that there were supplementary things needed in addition to that faith. So Galatians is one of the most important documents that we have as far as the church throughout its entire history. It's, if not the earliest letter that Paul wrote, at least what survived to us. It's either the earliest or one of the earliest. It's Thessalonians and Galatians were very closely written together. But it contains all of the essential doctrine of Paul's interpretation of the importance of the gospel events, Christ's life and death and resurrection. So I want to spend the month looking into terms like justification and its concomitant term righteousness, and law, the Torah. When Paul talks about the law, what is he talking about? And faith, what is he talking about? What is faith? That living as if you were counting on God's promises. I want to take a look at those kinds of terms and sort of dig into them and see how they affect us, because these are concepts that should be shaping our everyday lives. They should be shaping how we live from day to day. So, a few little quick facts and figures. As I mentioned, Galatians was written quite early on in Paul's missionary journeys, probably right after his first missionary journey, probably from Syrian Antioch, a bit before the Jerusalem Council. The Jerusalem Council was a time that generated quite a number of things that caused Paul problems over his ministry. So he's writing this letter in response to some issues that have cropped up and kind of dragged him into a controversy. And the controversy was sparked by what the text refers to as Judaizers. Judaizers. Now, these were Jewish Christians, mostly based in the Jerusalem area, who were teaching the new Gentile converts. And of course, this area of Galatia, this southern Galatia area of the Roman Empire, where Paul had started these churches, these Jerusalem Christians were then going to them and teaching them that, well, yes, what Paul said is true, that it is by faith alone that we are justified in righteousness. But there are also other things you have to do. You have to observe the food laws, you have to be circumcised, and so on. So there was this package deal that they were saying was the real gospel, that Paul's gospel was still incomplete. And Paul writes this letter in response to this. And he's saying, if you do that, if you try to supplement the gospel that I taught you, supplement the cross of Christ and Christ's death and resurrection and his whole ministry as related in the Gospels, if you try to supplement that with other things that you say are necessary, then you are completely destroying the gospel. You are risking sending those new converts into a kind of a life of bondage to some sort of legalism. So the whole letter of Galatians, and it's a short book, it's a short letter, and I encourage you to read it. But, you know, my small group people they've heard this a million times. Read it, and then read it again, and then read it out loud, and then read it again, and then pray over it, and then read it again. So during this month, I encourage you to do that. It's a short letter. There's so much there that as you read it, you won't believe how you might have missed some of the things that are there. It's an incredibly important document to us. Its message is that by grace, through faith alone, human beings are justified, and it is by faith alone that we are to live our new life in the freedom of the Spirit. So these are the things that we're going to look at in Galatians. Now, specifically, this morning you heard someone read that second chapter of Galatians, verses 15 to 21. And specifically, verse 16. This is a key text to us as Christians. It's probably one of the single most important texts we have, that a person is justified not by works of the law, and we'll go into those terms as we go along. A person is justified not by works of the law, but through faith in Jesus Christ, or the faithfulness of Jesus Christ.